Welcome back to the Sandy Trio. We are on episode 6 of season 2. We finally reached the end of this season of Sanditon. I look forward to talking about this episode. I haven't watched this episode again since last year when it was aired on TV, so it has been a while for myself. My plan for this episode will be 5 parts, so I'll be breaking the episode up every 10 minutes. I'm not gonna talk about everything, but for most of the episode. So let's get started.
So it was the Colonel that stole Mr. Colburn's wife?
He's the villain of the story, not the victim.
Mr. Colburn is not at all the man I had been led to believe.
I cannot believe how the Colonel treated you.
I'm glad that Charlotte opened up about what happened and told Allison and Georgiana. It was so obvious Allison and Georgiana were rooting for Charlotte to be with Lennox throughout season 2. It just showed that Lennox fooled them greatly, and they didn't expect the story to turn around and convince them that actually Lennox is the bad guy in all of this situation. I don't know if you pick up the little cues from Charlotte when she said that her impression for Mr. Holborn was all wrong. Like, she was happy that she was wrong because she liked him in a romantic way, and after last night, after the kiss with him, like, everything is smooth sailing so far. So she's just very happy that she can be with Mr. Holborn. If Mr. Holborn was truly the bad guy in this situation, she wouldn't have kissed him or moved forward in her relationship with Mr. Holborn.
I shall never forgive myself. All these weeks we've been urging you to consider him.
Last night, we insisted you dance with him.
We were all deceived.
That shows a real sister, a real friend. They were very considerate toward Charlotte. They acknowledged that they played a role in Charlotte's relationship with Lennox. They felt bad for pressuring Charlotte to be with Lennox. At first, it was easy going. They were introduced to each other. They got friendly with each other, get to know each other. But ever since the story that Lennox told Charlotte about Mr. Holborn's past, she stepped back a bit away from her friendship with Lennox, and something inside of her just convinced her to get further and further away from Lennox. And that was confirmed at the ball when he tried to propose to her and tried to kiss her. She backed off and was very upset by his actions and behaviors. So it's all good that Charlotte opened up about these things and told Allison and Georgiana, but she didn't tell them about the kiss that she had last night with Mr. Holborn.
Seems I'm a woeful judge of character, at least where gentlemen are concerned.
Perhaps there's a lesson to be drawn. Soldiers are not to be trusted. Better stick to
Artists, for example.
I agree with what Allison said about herself, not to be mean, but she did have poor judgment on picking the good men in the single men market. She did pick out a bad boy type, which was harder, and she felt bad again when she realized that she pressured her sister Charlotte to date a bad boy too, which was Lennox. But I'm glad that Charlotte was able to find out the truth from Mr. Holborn before it was too late. Charlotte mentioned about not trusting men, army men specifically. It reminded me of episode 1 of season 2. If you remember, Allison, Georgiana, and Charlotte were walking in the direction of the army camp, and Allison and Georgiana were talking about how brave and handsome these army men look. Like, they have this best job in the world, they are heroes, and they are nice, and they are charming. And I think Charlotte was the one out of the three where she warned the other girls, like, hey, like, let's keep it low. Like, let's have low standards about these men. Like, first of all, we don't know them. They just got into Sanditon. Second of all, you can't trust anyone easily, especially these men. Like, you don't know their life story, their background. where they came from and how they are. So when Charlotte said that, it was like a full circle moment from episode 1 to episode 6 of season 2. And Georgiana jumped in and said, oh, maybe we should fall for men that are artists so we don't get our hearts broken. But that was kind of like a side joke at the same time, because Georgiana fell for a man who is an artist while Allison was with a soldier and Charlotte was between her boss and her Lennox. So Georgiana seemed to have like the easygoing love story in season 2, if that makes sense. But I love this ghost chat that is happening right now, and I'm glad that Charlotte opened up a bit more about her battle with these two men, Lennox and Heybourne. But again, like, she did mention about the kiss that she had last night with Mr. Heybourne, and I'm curious as to what Allison and Georgiana would have said to that.
Not all soldiers are untrustworthy. I know one who is in every way admirable.
I cannot think who you mean.
I think I shall miss him more than anyone else I have met here.
Alrighty, so does that mean that Charlotte and Georgiana kind of knew that Fraser and Allison were becoming a thing? I wonder if they watched the dance between Allison and Fraser the other night. Like the way that Charlotte responded to Allison compliments about Fraser, it looked like Charlotte knew who Allison was talking about. Allison started to compliment Fraser, and it's so obvious, like she's showing her feelings for Fraser by saying these things in front of her sister and her friend. She did mention that Fraser would be the person that she misses the most when she leaves Sanditon, and that shows how deep her feelings are toward Fraser.
Is it not peculiar? How we can be strangers to our own affections.
It isn't peculiar at all.
I think all these three ladies were strangers to their own affection throughout season 2. Allison, she was so blind. She didn't recognize that Fraser was the better man, and he was standing in front of her all that time. And she still got her heart broken, bite harder. And now she realizing that Fraser is the one for her. The battle with Charlotte in regard to love in season 2 was if she wanted to love another man, she was afraid to love again. She was scared to open the door again to love. She didn't expect to meet a new man in her life that would be as great as Sydney, or even better than Sydney, if that makes sense. Sydney was her ultimate love, high standard. She didn't expect to have a chance at love again, and she found that with Mr. Heybourne. But the issue with him was that the trusting game, like she didn't trust him completely yet because of the story that Lennox told her about Mr. Heybourne. It was a love triangle, but after looking back on all those episodes in season 2, it wasn't really a love triangle. Her heart was with Mr. Heybourne for most of the time, I would say. And it wasn't obvious until episode 5 of season 2 at the ball. Georgiana is a bit similar to Charlotte's journey in season 2. She did fall for Otis in season 1. She wanted to be with Otis. He was her ultimate love, that the one that high standard, and she didn't think that she would find a better man than Otis. A man that will love her for who she is, and she didn't expect any of that in season 2, and she found something really good with Lockhart. But now the issue now with that guy is that Lockhart is leaving Sanditon very soon, and she's like, am I going through another heartbreak? Like, am I going to go through another breakup? Is it worth it? Like, is it worth leaving Sanditon so she doesn't get hurt again? She doesn't have to lose the love of her life again? Or should she stay in Sanditon and just lose that chance to be with him for good.
I am told you tried to take the baby.
No. I would never hurt my child.
Your child?
Esther is getting confused with the baby. She thinks that the baby is hers, that it is her daughter, but it's actually not. It's a boy, baby George, that belonged to his mom, Clara, and father, Edward. Red flag number 2. I did not like how Edward was in the room. Like, having him in the room, it's just like, it brings his influence into whatever decision they will make in regard to Esther's health and her future. Like, he doesn't have to be involved like this. Like, this is too much. Like, I'm afraid that with him being in the room, like, he would know everything and that he will take any step necessary for him to keep winning at the game that he's playing with them, and to make sure that he gonna get the money, the will of Lady Denham when she passes away. I did not like Edward being in the room. Lady Denham, she's very concerned. She concerned for her niece. That is absolutely normal. But at the same time, it's making me a little bit impatient. Like, Edward is the one that is causing all of this. And I feel bad for the doctor, because his job, his position is like in the red flag zone. And it's making him like look bad, like he diagnosed Esther wrongly, or he did something to her medication that is giving her the side effects. But we all know it's Edward doing behind the scenes, so I feel bad for the doctor too.
I did not mean.
My dear Lady Babington.
You have to help me, Doctor. I cannot tell what is real, what is the work of my imagination.
Also, I was thinking this is like delaying her chances to get pregnant again. Like, she working with this doctor to help her to be able to conceive again and give birth to a healthy baby. Like, that was her initial purpose, her initial plan in regard to her health, and get healthy and be able to get pregnant again and give birth to a child. Edward doing all this poisoning behind the scene and poisoning her drink and her medication, it delaying her plan to be a mom. And at the end of all that is just so evil, pure evil of Edward doing, and it's just so wrong.
Sometimes I want to dash my head against the wall to rid myself of these thoughts.
It proves the extreme measure that Edward took, and it proves that this has been going on for quite a while now. So the side effects are getting stronger and stronger each and every day, and she's losing herself. She's losing her true self. And Edward, you can see, if you really pay close attention to Edward behaviors, action, like, he pretended to be really sad for his sister, but underneath that fake that mask, underneath his mask, like, he really loving this, like, he really enjoying this, and that he really glad that his plans are working. Okay, so you saw that smile that appeared on Edward's face. He really doesn't care, and I'm just wondering, like, if she dies, like, he wouldn't care. Like, he willing to go so far, maybe to the point of death for Esther, and that's just evil. I'm glad that Lady Denham and the doctor still here for Esther. Like, they're really concerned for her, because she really doesn't have any other support except for her husband, but her husband doesn't know what's going on here. Like, this is crazy. If Lord Babington finds out, or even finds out really late, he would be very, very mad, and he would be like, how did this happen? What happened to my letters that I sent to Esther? She never wrote me back. Yeah, Edward thinks that he would get away with all of this, but he's not. First of all, Allison might have been worried that it might have been harder. She saw red coat, so it perked up her interest. Second, the moment she found out that it was actually Fraser, for sure, she got super excited. She rushed downstairs. And third, she rushed downstairs so fast that she was able to open the door herself instead of the doorman.
Miss Hayward, I thought I might have missed you.
Will you come in?
Thank you. What I have to say will only take a moment.
So this is good news for him. She wanted to see her, and he caught her on time before she actually leaves. On the other hand, she's very happy to see him. She thinks that him visiting the house might be a good thing.
I'm not a man adept at expressing his feelings, Miss Hayward.
Honesty has an eloquence of its own, don't you think?
This is really cute. He is nervous to express his feeling, to say the words. He looked at her like 2 times, but he kept looking away. So he's definitely nervous about what he had to say to her. And she's like on a good mood, like she really excited, look forward to what he had to say. She might be thinking like, okay, maybe he would tell me his feeling, and maybe I would tell him my feeling afterward. She thinks that this would be a good conversation for them to finally reveal to each other that they like each other.
Then let me just say that these past few weeks I have grown to consider you a friend.
I don't know what to call that. It reminds me of like stage fright. Like he knew what he wanted to say, but he got shy and backed away. I'm like, oh, you gotta be kidding me. Also at the same time, it reminds me of like Fun Zone. Like he technically fun zoned her in this moment, and her reaction, her facial reaction wasn't the greatest. She was very disappointed, and she's like, great, so he only considers me as a friend, and I have feeling for him, so this not gonna work out. Is he the one for me? Or maybe he got shy, got scared in a good way. He literally like stared at her beauty and she was smiling at him, anticipating that he gonna say a really good thing about the friendship, the relationship, that they like each other, but he didn't. He definitely got cold feet in this moment.
And so I came to offer you this token. Something to remember me by.
He seemed happy to give her that small, thoughtful gift, a going away gift, something for her to remember him by. And the way he said that, to remember him by, it just shows that he will miss her so much, and that he really doesn't like the situation of being separated, and that chance of not being able to see each other ever again, or even talk to each other or see face to face ever again. She's very disappointed. I feel like she's feeling all those mixed emotions, sadness, disappointment, a little tiny heartbreak. She's like, am I doing the right thing? Like, should I tell him my feeling? Like, should I fall for this guy, or should I just let him go? When you let something go and come back to you, it's meant to be, right? So maybe she have to do that. This is a tough situation for Allison, as well as for Fraser. But Fraser doesn't know just yet that Allison likes him in a romantic way.
Only, do not open it until you are returned to Willingdon. Will you promise?
I promise.
Well, goodbye then.
Okay, I don't remember this episode very well. The last time I watched it was last spring of 2022. But my guess is that he gave her that poem book, that book of the poems that he loved. They both love poetry, so that's my guess. I forgot if they ever show us what the present that he gave to her in this episode. Well, I will find out as I continue watching this episode, but that's my guess of what he gave her. He told her to promise that she wouldn't open it until she got back home. I'm just wondering why he asked her to promise on that. Maybe he doesn't want her to change her mind or pressure her to stay Sanditon or whatnot. But this is a very bittersweet moment. He said goodbye. He said the word goodbye. I'm pretty sure he didn't want to say goodbye, but it was a goodbye moment. So he did say goodbye, and Allison like, wait, is this really happening? Like, is this really a goodbye? Like, I'm not gonna see him again. So her heart is like tearing apart once again.
Goodbye.
Instead of her telling him her actual feeling for him, she showed her feeling to him by the tone of her voice when she said goodbye. That was like one of the saddest goodbye I ever heard. It's like, it's heartbreaking, a heartbreaking tone of someone saying goodbye to his or her lover. And I think that moment he realized, like, oh shoot, like, I did it wrong. Like, I did all of this wrong. Like, this should have been a happier conversation. And that was proved by hearing him say, damn, like, I made a mistake. Like, there's no way turning back now. Like, I said those words, I did that. Like, he had to move on. Like, he think that he cannot change it. And again, like, he doesn't know that she loves him like that. So I think the next best move, if anything, is that Allison needs to go back to him at the army camp and just tell him as it is, and maybe they will end up together. Her heart is breaking once again. You can see her eye got teary again, and she's just not liking the situation that she's in with Fraser. She wants to be with him for the rest of her life. He wants to be with her for the rest of his life. One of them needs to say the word. Also, I was thinking Allison could have told him right there and then that she's falling for him, that she wants to be with him, but the way that he approached her in this conversation and the words he spoke to her in this conversation, it didn't give her enough confidence to tell him her feelings. She doesn't want to get embarrassed once again, so she held it in to herself and kept it as a secret that he might never know unless one of them go back to each other and tell each other their feelings.
I fear she's become a danger not only to herself, but to those around her.
That you have asked me here the morning of your wedding, Capitan Denham, speaks of the depths of your concern. And you are right to be alarmed.
I understand family talking to doctor and having these deep conversations and deciding what to do next, but I still don't like how much involvement Edward has in Esther's health situation. He can easily persuade Lady Denham, or even the doctor too, to do things against Esther, not in the best interest of Esther, but rather in the best interest of Edward and what will benefit him in the long run, not Esther. So this is not good. Edward speaking out his mind over this situation, pretending to be concerned for his sister, but he's really not. Hopefully he doesn't do something major where it's gonna affect Esther for the rest of her life.
I believe her hysteria has advanced beyond the point of no return.
Oh, nonsense. There must be some treatment we can find to shock her out of this malaise.
This is no malaise, my lady.
Lady Denham knows her niece. She probably thinking like, I know her, like there's no way Esther would do this to herself or would get herself into the situation by herself. There must be a quick solution to fix this health issue that she's having. She doesn't think it's very serious, but the doctor is warning her like there's a serious situation on your niece. Like she can harm herself, she can harm the people around her. The way that Edward looked at Lady Denham, he knows that Lady Denham is an obstacle in keeping Edward from getting what he wants. It's not an easy path for Edward to get what he wants. Like he's trying everything he can to destroy Esther, but at the same time, like he had to work his magic on the doctor and Lady Denham. The doctor and Lady Denham doesn't know that Edward is doing all these things behind the scene on Esther. So he had to win the trust on the doctor and Lady Denham, convincing them that Edward has nothing to do with Esther's situation. And then the third thing is to get Esther off the will and possibly have it killed off or get her sent away to a mental hospital, for example, just to get her off this property and out of the family picture.
Alas, I fear the time has come for drastic action.
You don't mean? Not an institution.
I'm pretty sure Edward would be happy to see Esther being sent away to a mental institution, but he had to say that, like pretend like he here for his sister, like he doesn't want her to go, but in reality he wants her to leave the house and to be out of the family picture. Lady Denham doesn't like this idea. She'd rather have Esther next to her at home, and she probably thinking like having Esther at home is better for her. It might help her mental situation better. Like she will be surrounded by people she knows, and she knows the comfort of this home. If we send her away to a mental hospital, she doesn't know anyone there, and she might freak out even more, and her situation might get worse. And I think on the other hand, Lord Babington, I think he would be very upset if he hears that his wife got kicked out of the family house and sent away to a mental institution, basically abandoned. I don't think he would like that idea. He would rather seek a treatment for his wife and hopefully it works and keep her at home in the meantime. This is a very big decision that Lady Denham has to make. Hopefully Edward doesn't have any power over the decision making. I think it falls on Lady Denham's lap, and she has like good senses, and I hope she realized like no, like Esther belongs here at home. And I hope she finds out that Edward is the bad guy in all of this.
I see you have been packing up your materials, Mr. Lockhart. You are not leaving us.
Alas, yes, Miss Hankins. This very day.
What a great shame.
I have a restless soul.
Miss Hankins has no idea. It's a bit funny at the same time. She had no idea what Georgiana and Lockhart have been up to. Now we get the confirmation that Lockhart is still leaving, and I'm pretty sure he's sad about it as well as Georgiana.
And where will that restless soul be taking you next?
I shall be touring the continent. With a dear companion.
A friend?
Rather more than a friend.
Georgiana already knows what's going on, not Miss Hankins. It's really funny though that Georgiana asking this question like she hearing about this breaking news for the first time from Lockhart. She put him on the spot when she asked him, "Oh, are you touring with a friend?" And he was honest with her, more than a friend. So that confirmed that they are actually boyfriend and girlfriend. But the timing is really bad. Like they just began their romantic relationship and now he's taking off to tour the continent of Europe without her. And we don't know yet if she gonna go with him or not.
Congratulations, Mr. Lockhart. And who is the fortunate young lady?
Suffice it to say, She is the most inspiring muse an artist could wish for.
Of course, he's not gonna tell Miss Hinken it's Georgiana, because Miss Hinken will tell Mary Parker, and that'll be drama right there. Georgiana, she feeling the sadness all over again. She really doesn't want to let him go. We still don't know what's her decision, if she's gonna go with him or not. It's making him sad as well. It's breaking his heart at the same time. He knows that he might lose her, or he might have the chance to be with her. It depends on Georgiana's decision. The ball is in her court.
It's done.
This is a random thought. I just thought of it just now, and I'm gonna say it like in a nicer way, but I think it's gonna make sense by the end of all of this. I'm not trying to like be mean in any way, but I was just thinking Lockhart is a white man, right? And he wants to paint a beautiful portrait of a colored woman. He has a vision, like he's an artist, he has a vision, like he knows how he wants to capture her beauty in a painting. She has her standards, her expectations, she has her own perspective, her own vision of how she wants the painting to look like, how it should portray her, how it should represent her as a person, as an independent woman, her beauty, of who she really is. And I think the way that she initially reacted to the painting of her that he painted for her, I think the painting surprised her in a good way. He was very excited, very confident to show her the final touch of the painting. And I think it's a beautiful painting that he did of her. It's a beautiful portrait, and I'm pretty sure Miss Hinken is also impressed by it.
Well, Islam, have I captured you?
Utterly.
She was so proud. I think she was proud as a customer and as a girlfriend. A boyfriend that can do artwork for you like that. That's his love, that's his passion. And he did that out of love. He did mention that to her in the previous episode. So this is a work of love, a work of art at the same time, from him to her, showing her that he loves her as who she is. And that beautiful portrait is how he perceives her, how he sees her as a woman. And it's just a beautiful representation of the true Georgiana. It's beautiful, and she approved it, and she also showed that she approved it by holding his hand as a sign of not only affection but as a sign of approval of the painting, that she was very impressed and very satisfied with the service. At the end of episode 5, Charlotte and Mr. Holborn kiss each other for the first time after the ball, and now she's going to work. A new day, a brand new day, new beginning, new adventure. But what a way to start your work, your job for the day. She's smiling, and she was very happy to run into Mr. Holborn, and he was very sweet to his dog and playing with his dog. It's just a nice picture, and a nice picture of the possibility of the future together. It's just that mutual lovey-dovey look that they give each other. She was very happy to see him, and you see that she was smiling at him, but then she like closed off her smile. She wasn't sure if she was showing too much to him. She's a bit nervous, like a little bit nervous, like she's hoping that they are on the same page and that everything going well. It was a very passionate kiss. So the next question is like, what's the next step for this couple? You know, are they really going to be a couple, an official couple? Are they really doing this thing to one another? There's still something to talk about, sort out in their relationship.
Miss Hayward, I wondered if we might take a turn about the grounds.
Okay, that's not a bad sign. He wanted to take a walk with her, so they are definitely having another important conversation to themselves. I'm pretty sure he's gonna talk about where they are in their relationship, and we'll see if he wants to take this relationship in a serious way with Charlotte.
Our work is all but done. Babington will return to find his wife half mad in the asylum.
The asylum?
We must be sure we're rid of her for good. Cannot let her take our money.
He's not ashamed of his action at all. He's very confident in telling Clara what's going on and what he's been doing to Esther. I still feel bad for Clara, like she's stuck in this situation. She feels helpless, and she knows that at the end of all this, like, it's gonna look really bad on Edward and as well as Clara, because she is technically involved in this situation, and she never told Lady Denham, the doctor, or even Esther what Edward had been doing since the beginning when he first came back to Sanditon.
George's money.
Of course. Keep her glass full at our wedding breakfast. She will want to toast our happiness. Yes, she will.
The wedding is still on, and he told Clara the plan that he already has in place to continue to destroy Esther and her reputation and to embarrass her once again at the wedding breakfast. Clara is definitely not liking the situation. At the end of all of this, like, if they do get caught, Clara will be in trouble because she could have told the doctor or Lady Denham or Esther what Edward had been up to and what he did to Esther. So it's gonna make her look bad either way, if they do get caught or not. She's very protective of George, and you see the way she holds him, like she really doesn't want her son to be close to Edward, but he is still the father. He is not the best father to the son. Like, I don't think she liked the idea of Edward being the father to the son. If anything, she probably become a single mom raising her child alone. You can see the look that she gave Edward. She's like, I really hate you for doing this to Esther and for having me involved and getting me in trouble. Like, she really doesn't like being in this situation, and she really cannot do anything because she doesn't want to suffer the consequences of Edward. Like, if she betrays him, like, he's gonna come after her and attack her, and maybe he would take the baby away from her. Who knows? Edward is capable of anything, and he is willing to take any risk in getting what he wants, what he desires in life.
Been thinking on our conversation last night. I must apologise. I said too much. I beg you never speak of it.
I won't breathe a word.
It was a very emotional topic for him to talk about with Charlotte the other night, and he started to regret. He started to overthink, like, did I say the right thing? Did I tell her too much? I don't blame him. It was very emotional for him to talk about. He revealed a lot of things to her. He trusted her in that moment. That's why he told her. He discussed it with Charlotte now, like, hey, like, that was a huge thing for me to do. Like, that's very hard for me to tell you all those things. And she's the type of woman that gonna respect the person. Like, she's not gonna gossip and tell everyone. She's gonna keep it as a secret between him and her and move past it, move forward. She's the type of person that keeps her word, and she going to respect his wishes. So she let him know, like, no, don't worry about it. And I'm pretty sure he was relieved to hear that. Like, she's not gonna ask him about his past again with Lennox and his wife. She wants to move forward, and he wants to move forward too. So they are definitely on the same page about that.
I too have known heartache and betrayal.
He was honest to her the other night, and now she being honest with him. Like, keeping it balanced in a good way. She trusts him enough that she telling him these things about what's her perspective on love and marriage, and how she doesn't want to fall in love again, and that she went through a really bad major heartbreak in the past. So they do have some similar common things that happened in the past, and now it's kind of like a full circle moment. Like, they had their own share of heartbreak, and now these two are coming together as a couple.
I had sworn off love and marriage, and yet I've come to realize I cannot hide myself away.
And they are in the same stage, in the same pace of life. Like, they are at the same point in their life where they do want happiness again, they do want love again, but they're scared to open up and to accept that they deserve to be happy themselves. But now Charlotte realizes that she can be happy with a man by her side, and that's Mr. Heybourne, and that's why she said, I cannot hide myself away. Like, you know, some things have happened to me in the past few days, including her moments with Mr. Heybourne, especially that night after the ball at his house, that conversation. And that was like the turning point for her. She's like, okay, maybe I should give love a second chance and be with Mr. Heybourne.
I must live my life. Is it not time you did the same?
This is like the most vulnerable Charlotte we ever saw when she talked with Mr. Heybourne. She trusts him, she revealed to him about these things and her feelings about love, and opening her heart to love again. And she's like, okay, so she actually interested in me. Like, the way that she talked about herself in the scene was also a signal to him, like, okay, we are definitely on the same page. We do like each other in that way. So that's why he like dive in for her, especially after she said, I must live my life. Like, shouldn't you live your life too? And basically, like, you deserve to be happy. And that motivated him, that encouraged him to dive in for another kiss with her, and to show her, like, yeah, like, we're gonna do this thing. And she didn't hesitate the kiss, like, she didn't back off. She allowed it to happen. So that shows that they are definitely on the same page in regard to the status of their relationship.
Mr. Colburn! Mr. Colburn! It is Miss Leonora, sir. She is nowhere to be found.
For those who love Mr. Heybourne and Charlotte together, I must have to say, like, the way he hits her, like, so passionate, like, so strong. Mr. Whitley, she saw the kiss. It was obvious. Like, they were literally in the middle of kissing each other when Mr. Whitley called Mr. Heybourne out. In Charlotte, she's like, oh shoot, like, no one should know about this. Like, you know, I don't think she's ready for anyone to know that her and Mr. Heybourne have been intimate with one another. But now Mr. Whitley knows, but she's in her work zone. She's like, your daughter is missing, like, this is important. And of course, like, his focus switched. He's like, my daughter, like, his daughter technically should be number one above Charlotte. And I'm not saying that in a mean way, but that's his kid. So he's like, you know, no offense, Charlotte, like, I need to go find my daughter. So he immediately walked away, and Charlotte, of course, she followed them, and she loves Leonora, and she loved that little girl, and she knows that she a special kid. So Charlotte, like, yeah, we need to find your daughter. Hopefully Leonora is safe somewhere. She's really good at hiding, but this is something serious because if you remember at the end of episode 5, Leonora finds out that Mr. Heybourne is not her real dad, and she found out behind the door, eavesdropping on the private conversation between Mr. Heybourne and Charlotte.